made a lot of planning videos over the years, and I am so excited. This is probably my favorite planning video I'm ever going to make because I have grown a lot in the last few months, going through a huge family tragedy, crisis of my dad being in the hospital, and I just really needed an outlet to be creative, to still get everything done, but I just needed something to pour my heart and soul into. And so I am going to take you inside my bullet journal system. It's what I've been using, what I've been loving, and I want to share some tips with you if it feels overwhelming to bullet journal, because I do it in a way that really doesn't take me a lot of extra time. And the extra time it does take is very like cathartic and healing for me. So it's a win-win. It doesn't feel like I'm adding a whole lot to my plate. So before I jump into actually opening these up and showing you, I'm just going to kind of talk through why I have two. So I started just bullet journaling in an A5 dot grid journal, and I found out, first of all, it's way too small for me. I need more space, and you'll see why. And also, as I was going through my normal bullet journal, I was incorporating things like this about my dad's accident and about my kids, and doing some more like actual journaling in here. But I found it became really disjointed and hard to find everything. And so I still am finishing out this journal this month, but I am also now going to a two journal system. So I'll have my everyday journal where I do my monthly planning. I have my daily photo that I will show you guys. I keep track of my habits and all of that kind of stuff on a daily, monthly basis. And I do some journaling in here, but it's smaller and it fits with the month, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. But then this is my longer term journal, where I keep things that I need to reference over longer periods of time. I don't need to flip through this to find my plans, so I didn't want to like have all these extra pages with fun journal prompts and journaling and stuff, because it's just really hard to find everything. So all that kind of stuff will go in here. I have my half year in pixels here. I'm keeping track of my reading in here. I have some like little guides for when I am planning to look at, and just things like that. So anything that's not in my monthly setup will go in here. And so let's take a look at these. Okay, let's take a look inside my everyday bullet journal. This is a B5 size. It's a Scribbles That Matters journal that I got on Amazon. They come in a few different colors. It's got two of my favorite colors together, this mint green and like the blush pink. And then it's got the two tabs. I use this one to get to my monthly section, and this to get to my day that I'm currently on. It also has a little pen loop, and it comes with a pen, but I switched it out for the Sharpie pen is what I'm currently using. And I use this is the 160 GSM paper, so you can like watercolor in this, which I'll show you quick now that I'm talking about it. You can do watercolors in this and it will not bleed through at all. It's beautiful. So this is a great one for art journaling and things like that. And this is what it looks like pretty much all used. Okay, so I'm not gonna show that, but there is a little place for a key here I did not use. And then it has a nice spot, these really thick pages for a cover. I just did 2023. I didn't know how far I'd get in here. I don't really use the index a whole lot, but there are a few pages for that, and every page is numbered. So I did not start this one until April. So what I did, I just set up these months. That's one thing with bullet journaling. I didn't like not having the month at a glance spread, so I just added them very simply, and didn't take much time at all. And then since I started in April, I really wanted, since I was going through, you know, my dad had a horrible accident January 17th of this year, and he was, you know, in the ICU for a few weeks. He had so many different surgeries and things. And so I wanted a way to quickly remember when all these things happen, because if you've ever lived with, you know, somebody you love, or even yourself having like a lot of time in the hospital or a really bad accident or something like that, it's so easy to lose track of time and forget how long they were in a certain hospital or when certain things happened. So I just went in, because my mom kept a daily journal while in the hospital for 4 months. And so I just went in and wrote out when everything happened, and I still reference this a lot. So that's mainly what I use January through April or mid-April for, and then the rest of it is you know, me just planning events and things like that. So it gets messy. I am not a beautiful planner by any means, but this is a way for me to be a little more creative when I'm not very artistic. Like, I'm not good at it. I am an artistic person. I'm just not very good at, you know, hand lettering and doodles and things like that. I'm just not very good at it, but it's helping me to get better. So that's what it looks like. I just keep this orange or this pink one here so I can quickly get to the month. And sometimes I color code, sometimes I don't. It's messy, but as you can see, like, it's not so busy the upcoming months because I don't have a lot planned yet for those. And then I did just this then and now, even though obviously I started in April and not January, but it'll be fun to come back in December if I remember and fill this out. I just love that little snapshot in time of the beginning of the year to the end. And then I have my first monthly spread. So this is my April month. This is kind of where I was getting the hang of things. So I did this really pretty habit tracker. I actually really liked how this turned out with the sun, because here in Minnesota, we finally get some sunshine in April. Not always, we still had snow, I'm sure, but, and then I just habits, your habits will determine your future. And I just did a really simple habit tracker. I keep track of just like personal stuff up here. And then I have 2 Etsy shops here, so I could keep track of how many listings I created and then how many I sold. And there's the nice pretty cover. Here, I like to do memories, and I just find it, I was trying to just write things, but I just don't really ever want to look back on that. I really love incorporating pictures. And so I included some pictures of things and just wrote about them, because I find a lot of the big memories in my life I have photos on my phone from. So I just printed these on my own home computer on matte photo paper, because I have a HP NV photo printer. It can print photos too. So I just did that, and really simple and easy. I just usually midway through the month will go through and print a bunch of pictures and do this, and then at the end of the month. So it really doesn't take a lot of time. It's just kind of me time. You know, some people crochet or knit. Well, this is what I kind of do for my hobby me time, is do stuff like this. So it doesn't really take a lot of time, and it's really fun for me, and my kids love looking back on these, which I think will be fun for one day. They'll inherit these and they may never look at them again, or they may, you know, want to look at them. I can show my grandkids, stuff like that. It's just really fun. I have a gratitude section. Since I started mid-April, it's only half of it. And then I go into my weekly, daily, it's like two days per page, except on the weekend it's 3 days per page. And so this is basically how I started it, and it's worked really well. I'm still sticking with it. So basically, this is how I set up like a normal day, a weekday, and this is how I set up a month, and this is how I set up a weekend. Now, obviously, it may look a little different to fit the theme, but this is my basic setup. So how I do it, and I did add a little bit more later on, I'll show you guys, but I keep a little box here for my schedule. So this is anything like my husband's schedule, anything that's tied to time. So like we had co-op for our homeschool that day. My daughter had preschool. If I'm watching any kids, I was doing before and after school, so I just put like their initials so I know who I have that day. Then I have my 4 a.m. slot where I keep track of what I'm going to do during my morning routine. I have lots of videos on morning routines, and I'm sure I'll do an updated one soon. So I just keep a little list there of what I'm going to do. For the morning section, this is just like I keep track of homeschool here, like just making sure we did all the subjects I had planned for the day. And then like if we're gonna do anything in the morning that's not necessarily like an appointment or something, sometimes I'll write it twice just so I don't forget. But like here we did grocery pickup, so I just write that there. Same thing for the afternoon. If there's anything that I have planned to do for the afternoon or evening, I will put there. And then nap time is when I get most of my work done or household tasks, just depends on the day. So that's where I keep track of that. And then as for the weekends, I just do the same, like this column is split into 2 for Saturday and Sunday. And then I've kind of done this a little differently. I'll show you guys a more updated one in a second. But I just keep a list of what we have to do for the weekend. So that's basically how I plan. And so what I do to save time with bullet journaling, some people, you know, just plan one day at a time, and like the night before they'll plan for the next day, or they'll do just 1 week at a time. I actually set up the whole month at one time, so let me show you. So for example, here's May. This had a really ugly flower, and so I just covered it with a ton of washi tape. So you don't have to, you know, I'm learning as I go of what I'm good at, what I'm not, what I need to practice. So for example, when I was midway through April, which I already was, so I pretty much set up April and May at the same time, I went through and I just set up this whole thing at one time. So I have my habit tracker I set up in the month before. So in April, I set up the whole habit tracker. I set up this gratitude, and then I just fill it in every single day. So I do 3 things I'm grateful for as part of my morning routine. I set up the memories, so I just have the pages laid out. So I just had this written, and then in the month I go back and actually fill it in, but I have it set up at the beginning of the month. I added this really cute things the girls said. I'm gonna actually move this into my long-term bullet journal because it's kind of getting lost in here, and so anytime my kids say something cute, I just write it in here. Once a week I go in and plan, and I'll show you that for July and August so you kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about. Then I have a review page at the end after all the weeks and days are done. Here I did do the books I read, but I moved that into my long-term bullet journal. I didn't even finish. I have done this in two different journals now because I just loved it, and I think I'm gonna move it to my long-term just so it doesn't get lost in here. I just wrote out every single TV show I could think of in my childhood, and then every single TV show I could think of that I watched like from my late teens to now. And then I just did a page for each of my girls. I plan to do this like every quarter, every 6 months, just a little update on them. And then I journaled about my dad's accident, and it just helps me to have photos to really remember these things, because you can write about your kids, but just actually seeing them brings back so many memories. It's so fun to look at. So I just journaled about that, and then I love being able to incorporate like actual things. I've got this covered up, but that was his hospital bracelet that we cut off him when he got home. My mom said I could keep our little, you get a little sticker when you come through security at the hospital, so I wore those a bazillion times. The parking tickets, the little parking passes, all that kind of stuff. Fall risk, sad obviously, but I just think it was so healing to have this outlet to get all my feelings down, to cry, to remember, to reflect, and I can look back. And just remember, I think hard times, it's important to remember the hard times as much as the good. And then I have some blank pages. I did a homeschool recap for my girls of, you know, what their curriculum was, our co-op, a little bit about, you know, what my younger girls did, stuff like that. So it's kind of fun to look back on. And then I did a 2-page spread. I used glossy, just regular letter paper glossy for these photos for homeschool, so it's really fun. I just keep a little folder in I keep a little album in my phone so I can just move all the homeschool related photos to that album. I try to do that once a week, just kind of organize my photos, so it was really easy to just print these out. Here I have a summer bucket list. I plan to do this for every season. Summer is kind of epically crazy, but I kept a list of things to do away from home, to do while we're at our house, keep track of all the bonfires, times we ate outside, bike rides, water play, play dates we had, parks we visited, hikes we've gone on, which we have, it's just been so busy, times we've gone swimming, swimming lessons, picnics, walks. It's just really, really fun and a fun thing to look back on. And then I kind of planned out our summer schedule. I haven't been great at keeping to this exact, but it just helps me heading into a new season that's gonna be different, to kind of figure out where everything's gonna fit so I don't get so stressed going into it. I know what our plan is. And then here's June. I am really proud of this because I basically just copied, you know, I looked at somebody else's drawing and copied it, but I thought I did a pretty good job. So that I was pretty proud of. Got my gratitude here. And this is when I started doing a daily photo. This has been really, really fun. So just at the end of every day, I go through my photos. I try to think of it during the day, so I take a photo. Sometimes I'm better than others. So like times when I forgot, I just will have my kids like do something that won't be meaningful to me. Like my daughter, my 2-year-old sucks her thumb and has this stuffy named Ellie that she's in love with. So I just took a picture of her with that so I can remember that. Just so fun to look back on the whole month through pictures. So I'm doing that. I plan to continue doing that And then like I said, halfway through the month, I will print out a bunch, and then halfway through I'll do the rest, or you could just do it once a month. It's really simple. And then here's our memories. I even included my first 4-leaf clover. My daughter has found 42, my oldest. I've only found one in my whole life, and she's found 42 in the last 2 years. So pretty cool. And just, you know, I like to do little borders and just write a little something about each one. And I only had set up this part right here, this memories, at the start of the month. Then I went back in at the end and did all of this. So that's why it looks so cohesive. For this month, I did a like landscape position view tracker, so I could do all of the days in one, and I could put my goal and my actual here. So that was really fun, and I just used some washi tape. And here's how I kind of switched up my days. So I have the schedule still, I have my 4 a.m., I have the morning, I have the afternoon, I have nap time, and then I added an evening because afternoon in my mind, and really nap should probably be here because afternoon and evening come after that, but this just works well for my brain. So the afternoon and evening aren't getting so lumped together. So afternoon is like from 3 to 5, and evening would be like 5 o'clock on. So I do that a little bit differently. And this was the first month I actually cut my paper and I tabbed it so that first of all, you can easily see where those pages are on the side. So it makes it really easy to find the different months. And also I can just flip through a lot easier to different days. And I have the actual, like this is the first and second day. This spread has the 3rd through 7th and so on all the way down. So I literally just cut my paper. I figured out where the tabs would be. And then I have a tool that rounds the edges that I can link below. But you guys may not even be able to tell, but on this page, I messed up, and so I had to cut paper from the back and glue it in. And you know, if you're not, unless you're really looking for it, you're not going to notice. So that's a nice thing with the dot grid. You can just cut paper and line up the dots, and you know, it's not really that noticeable if you mess up something. So really loving this. So I did just a little bit different header for these. And then here is another really fun one. So I just have been really loving this like wire bulletin board look. I've done it, I'll show it to you in my long-term journal, but basically this is July. I just used these stickers from Planning with Kay. I bought a whole bunch from her. She has just beautiful stickers that are really beautiful, and I bought a bunch of different themes so I can do some of my own art, but since I'm not very good at it, I can incorporate things from other people. So I incorporated these stickers in with everything else I drew. And so I just thought of things, you know, that you might do during the summer. Admit one for like fair games, pool pass, bracelet. We went to a movie, so showtime, 4 p.m., flowers, 4-leaf clover. Not the most beautiful, best art in the world, but this just to show you, you don't have to be great at art and you can still bullet journal, and it's just really fun, and it's a way to get better at something that if you're not very good at it. Here's my July daily photo. So we're mid-July when I'm filming this. I've only put one in, and I'll go through and do the rest. So I incorporated the pretty stickers with my own like hand lettering, if you could even call it that. And then this month, the 31st is on a Monday and I couldn't fit it well, so I just put it here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Here's my memories set up, so I will go in at the end of the month and fill that out. So I did a very similar habit tracker to what I did in April, and so it's just going portrait mode basically, and then my Etsy shop's down here with some cute washi tape, and then I just included a lot of the stickers in as headers and for the days. So each week has a different theme. So this is Saturday and Sunday, so we're ending a week here. So I have these little cameras with this sticker here that I wrote the day on. For this week, starting with Monday, I have a sticker that has like a Polaroid with the letter for the day. And so you can see how I have it set up here. And like if there's a holiday, I can kind of decorate for that. I have the pages tab just like I did the last month. As you can see, it gets messy as the week goes on, plans change, things get moved around, but it works for me. This week I had just this little like Polaroid flower picture, and then she had stickers with the dates, the days of the week. And then this is what I've been doing now. I've just been keeping a post-it note for my weekend to-dos that are basically the same every week. I will write a new one every single week, but that way I'm not cluttering up the actual page here with all the stuff that I do every single week. It's not that big of a deal. I just want to remember to do them and be able to check them off because it's motivating. So I do that and then I just throw that away. And then anything else is just stuff that I don't normally do. So that way I can remember. But that's how I have that set up. This one has this cute Monday and day with the Polaroid with the little brown header. And then basically what I do also is I keep Post-its for the next week with just any notes of things I need to remember to do. So while I'm, in a week, if there's something I need to do the next week, I have a place to write it. So I have lots of Post-its and stuff in here. But here you can see this is a week, the last week of July. I haven't set up yet, but I set all of this whole part up at the start of the month. So I don't have to take time every week going in and actually just decorating it and setting it up. I just do that once a month. So actually planning isn't really that much different than having a planner that's already done for me. And I actually really like setting it up. It's very creative for me. So here I have the weekend to do Post-it ready to go for me. But yeah, it's just really, really cute. And then here I used washi so that when these are all laid flat, I can easily see them and there's not like weird stuff behind, like writing and stuff. And then what I did here, I have just laid out this spot where I am journaling. I'm trying to do like an entry every day starting this month, and I think I'll continue it. And so at the end of the day or every couple days, I'll go back and journal about what happened that day or my feelings or whatever. I started it, traditional journaling, but then I switched to this style and I'm loving this. It's so fun. It's so fun to look at. So every day I just think of all the stuff we did. I can basically journal about anything, but it's just so fun to look back on all of these little things that don't really seem like they mean a whole lot, but making it look cute, adding different doodles and trying out different fonts and hand lettering styles, and it's just super fun. I've been really loving this. So basically I just had it all laid out and I'll have a Post-it here. If I can't journal that day, I'll just write a bunch of stuff I want to make sure I include, and then I can go back and do it later. And then here I have my gratitude section with probably my best hand lettering I've ever done. It's not that great, but I thought it was pretty good. And then I started including this prayer section, which I'm not going to show you, hence the Post-its, but just people in my life and different things I want to pray for. I keep here, so I'll do my gratitude in the morning and then I'll pick one of those people or two of those people and say a prayer for them. And then I'll do my recap, and then July is done. So I did use some of these last pages. Started Weight Watchers, some of my favorite meals, different things to keep track of, and I tested out different pens, and that's where I took paper from when I messed up. But that is my flip through of my day-to-day journal. I will soon be moving into this one. This is a 120 GSM, so I'm going to try the thinner paper, and I'm sure I'll do a flip through of this for you guys. But I just have it kind of laid out. But I did go through and actually do the months already so that those are ready to go. Because this should go through December of this year, but I went ahead and did January through April here, just in case I'm planning for the spring at the end of next year. And then I also have just dates here in case I need to do longer term planning through the end of next year. And then I just went through with pencil and wrote out where everything's gonna go so I can kind of get the spacing figured out. I just went through, this is all August, so then I have just where the September cover will go. So I do 1 month at a time, but I'll be filling that out soon. Let me know if you want me to do a video on that. And then here is my long-term bullet journal. I don't love this cover, but this was my attempt at trying, a more like vintage feel. I haven't filled out the index. I might actually do it for this one. I have washi tape here because, as you can see, I did this really awesome Dutch door. It was my first ever Dutch door, but it kind of cut the paper here, so I need washi tape to keep it all intact. So you see a lot of people doing a year in pixels, but since I started this journal in June, I'm doing half year in pixels. So it's for 7 months, June through December. I did the very similar theme of like the little wire bulletin board, half here in pixels with different fonts. I just really like that. I use scrapbook paper behind the headings. I really love this. So I'm keeping track of my mood, my period, Bible reading. So I keep track of like what book I was reading. So for my mood, I kind of wish I had like annoyed with everyone as one of the choices, because I do have days like that as a mom and a wife. Period, I'm just kind of keeping track of here with different symptoms. So I have color coding, and then I also have, you know, pen coding, I don't know, I can layer things. So like I can keep track that it was a heavy period and I had cramps or whatever. Bible, I'm keeping track of when I read it and what book of the Bible I was reading at the time, so I can kind of see how long it took me. Reading, I'm keeping track of each book, so I just list the book here. Hopefully I have enough here, but if not, I'll just like keep the rest of the book somewhere else of the titles. But yeah, it's just fun to see. I'm keeping track of exercise, so what type of exercise I did, and I left some blank. And then the totals at the end of the year, I'm gonna write down like how many of each I did, or you know, how well I did with each of these things. Healthy eating, if I ate all 3 meals, great, 2 great, 1 great, none great. So I can keep track of that. I've not been the best, so I just kind of do 2 great if I can't really remember. A lot of these I can transfer from my regular day-to-day journal, but for this, I don't have this particular thing to track in this way. I just have healthy eating, and I either check it off or I don't, so it's harder to remember. Here, I'm not showing everything, but I have weigh-ins, non-scale victories, and then here's where I'll go in and actually measure a couple times this year so that I can see my progress, because I have been working out every day. I have not filled this out yet, but I'm gonna keep track of my 2 Etsy shops for income and revenue, taxes, fees, all that kind of stuff. And that's the end of that. So this whole part is on the front page and the last page, and then these are all separate pages. So I just cut here. I just love how this turned out. Here I have my reading. I thought this was really cute. I took a few different ideas from a few different people. That's what I found. I can draw like mediocre if I'm copying something that somebody else did. I don't really do well just off the top of my head. So like all of these things I saw somewhere else and incorporated them, like the cat. So every book I read, I'll fill in, and then I'm gonna do a little review of them. And I left room for more. I would like to keep track, like have a visual picture of the covers of books I want to read here that I don't own, and then to be read, like books I own that I haven't read yet, but I just have not gotten the motivation to actually go through and do that. Here I just made, these are things I can reference when I'm planning. So this I can change out, but I kind of do like a weekly schedule of like what tasks I'm doing at 4 a.m., what things I'm doing, types of things I'm doing during nap time, and just things I need to remember when planning. Here I have my evening routine and just some ideas for things to kind of pamper myself or do on the weekend in the evening after my kids go to bed. I have parent-daughter date ideas. I have another to-do list I'm not going to show, but I also have like home and life to-dos, so I can look at that every time I plan. Work-life glue and Etsy to-dos, stuff like that. That's all I have in here so far, but I plan to do a lot of like other types of journaling in here as well. I hope you found this inspiring, even if you don't plan to bullet journal, even if you don't even like planning. I just hope this gave you a little sense of how maybe you can use something that you do have to do and find a way to kind of make it more fun and make it more creative, or make it something that is healing in the process. There are so many hobbies we can have, and sometimes they can feel like a chore. Planning can be both a chore and a hobby, but for me, this has really made it into not just a chore, but a hobby that I really love to do, and I get to journal through it, and it's also really fun to look back on. So I'm all about having ways to remember these precious days with our kids, this precious season in our life. Every season is precious in some way. You're never gonna get it back. And so I just love having a way to document it and to look back. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.